This is the Code to Cash podcast.
So I'll take an example from a previous company. And before I was at Eltropy, we're a fintech. I worked in the translation software industry. Super, super exciting, right? It sits in the background and translates your website, things like that. The company that I was at, we're struggling to scale our SaaS business in accordance with our services business. So we would get paid for every single word that was translated. It's a very scalable cost, but it's not recurring. Like one year, someone could do 1 billion words, and the next year, hey, we're done 0 words. But how do we scale the SaaS offering instead of just $25 annual or $25,000 annual to scale up with the usage? And we tried some models of, hey, incremental packages, your 25,000 package, your 45,000 package, a 75,000 package based on like buckets of words. And it was hard to swallow because big corporations, hey, we do 2 billion words a year. You can charge us $400,000 for the software up front. That's a big one to take on. So what we came up with is we actually started to price it out, and we found a per word cost that we would be comfortable with based on those volumes. It came out to these bigger deals, half a penny per word. And so now instead of saying, hey, it's 75 cents a word, it's never that, right? 25 cents a word plus $50,000 up front, we're saying it's 25.5 cents a word, unlimited, go for it. And for us, it was very scary because all of a sudden we could not predict revenue. And that's totally backwards for a financial model. We went from having recurring revenue chunks and we know, hey, this is contracted renewal, to we can't predict the volume, but we're going to get a half a penny for every single word that's produced. We knew how much overall volume we did, but it was super scary as an executive team to actually put that in place and move forward with it. But the sales conversations, oh my gosh, as a sales rep, you're going in, you no longer have to sell a 6-figure recurring revenue, weighted contract. It's, hey, do what you need, half a penny. If you do a lot, it's a quarter of a penny. If you don't do a ton, it's a full penny. But here's your price, 25.5 cents a word. And all of a sudden, at the end of the first year, we knew that it completely blew up because we tripled our technology revenue. And we didn't sell a single recurring contract. It was tacked onto it. The price was so minuscule because the volumes were so high. That all of a sudden investment companies were like, okay, we're okay if you can't predict it in every contract, because overall we had 10 years of experience showing, hey, this is how much volume we're doing every single year, and it just continues to grow. So that would be an example of really bucking the norm of pricing strategy. We tested that for 6 months on a lot of different companies to make sure, but we were still nervous. We didn't just up and, caution to the wind and change our pricing model, which is not recommended. But we changed it. We heard the customer of, hey, this overhead is too high. Let's scale it as we go. And we had huge dividends. We ended up being acquired within 2 years of that because our financial model just blew up.
Interesting.
And it was a really cool case study of listening to the customer. Really going out on a limb, changing pricing. And once we realized it worked with, a handful of case studies over 6 months, we just went and boom. It was actually really fun to experience.
Interesting. So in this case, seems like the sort of recurring fees caused more friction in the sales process, and even the customer couldn't predict, but this reduced the burden from their end of trying to think about how much it would be, and they were fine with the per unit cost. It's interesting because, in this case, it's such a big success. And then there are other cases, other industries where we've tried to do the exact same thing, and the customer says, hey, we got to do the math. I know how to pay per user. I'm just going to pay per user, even when it would have been cheaper for them. So I guess it really depends on really understanding the customer and what their drivers are.
Yep. Understand. And we had those conversations. The
Yeah.
CFO said, "Hey, this is not predictable."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said, "Well, neither's your per word cost of
Yeah.
translating,
Yeah.
and this is half a penny on 25 cents, right?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where we had an advantage of the sheer volume of
Yeah.
words that we translated
Yeah.
made it so minuscule to the overall cost
Yeah.
that it was the same as predicting their per word cost. It was
Yeah.
just like, hey, we can't predict this, but we've got to do it. And yeah, most of the companies, we would go and do a yearly price review, and they realize, hey, we just paid 3x what we used to pay
Yeah.
in technology fees, but it all worked, and we were adding stuff, and it was an unlimited, no more, hey, do you want this module or this module or this add-on? It was all you can eat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no more figuring that out and having
Yeah.
those negotiations. Just you get every product update. You get
Yeah.
so
Interesting.
it,
So it's,
it was a big shift because everything the product team was building
yeah.
was already baked into the price.
Yeah. Interesting.
But we did
I-
that to stay on
yeah.
the cutting edge of the technology curve so that people
Yeah.
didn't even question it.
Yeah.
Right. And so you create a good model
Yeah.
of your customer completely trusts you. Every product update, everything. We're not trying to sell you anything. Just keep
Yeah.
using us.
Yeah.
We'll keep proving it that we're the best, technology. And if we're not, then we can have a conversation. And
Interesting.
it worked really well. And
Yeah.
I know it's not for everybody,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's where, if you're willing to make those investments in time and testing it out, the
Yeah.
solution you have will probably not work for everybody, because if
Yeah.
it did, everybody would do it, and
Yeah.
you're not differentiated anymore.